Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, well if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. I really appreciate it there. It helps out with the logarithm and stuff like that. Today we're going to be doing a basic transmission service on my automatic transmission on my 66 Mustang here. Pretty simple job overall. And again, we're just going to do a basic one there. Drop the pan, put a new filter in, that sort of thing there. We're not going to get crazy with the darn thing. You know, you can blow out all your lines. If you've got a plug on your torque converter, you can try draining that. We're not doing all that stuff. We're just going to do a basic service today. I'm also going to take the opportunity here, and it's something you might want to think about, and I'm going to put in a drain pan with a plug. And so I got this one. This is a B&M one here I got from CJ Pony. It's got a drain plug. I don't know why they don't put drain plugs in transmissions, but they don't. This is a real good quality. It's really thick metal, so I'm really kind of excited about that. It does come with a gasket, a cork gasket and stuff like that. Comes with a bolt package and stuff. What it doesn't come with that I'm going to put on there is some flat washers. And the flat washers here is going to fit inside these channels and help distribute the load. And so one of the reasons that you might want to think about a new pan, especially if you're unfamiliar with your car or something like that, is people have a tendency, and especially if they're just old, when you torque them down, what happens there is these things dimple. It's just sheet metal, and when you torque them down there, it pushes them in, and that's what's causing your leaks. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. When you take it back off there, I'll show you mine, I'm sure it's dimpled. What you got to do, similar to like a valve cover, you got to get it up on your vise and just tap all those dimples where it's nice and flat. Otherwise, you're never going to get the darn thing to seal. So these things here aren't that expensive. A little bit more expensive with a drain plug, but you might want to think about if you got an old one that's looking old, you might want to just think about buying one. Then you ain't got to worry about that stuff there. That's up to you though. You don't need one. I got a filter kit here as well. It's just a screen, so you don't need it. I got one here from Advanced Auto Parts, CarQuest. You could probably just clean these, look at them. Mine, I'm hoping it's pretty good shape, but we'll see. But it's just got a new screen, and what I liked about this one here is it comes with a rubber gasket. So I got a cork gasket with this pan, but this one's got a nice full rubber gasket. I'm going to use this. I think this is going to be a lot better than the cork one. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to replace this, drop the oil there. The oil's always been looking in really good shape there. Just one word of caution there. If your oil, transmission fluid I should say, is really shot, like it's burnt, that type of thing, you've got issues, and this is not going to correct those issues. And so you can change the fluid and stuff like that, but what happens is there's so much fluid throughout the system. The transmission cooler, if you got an external transmission fluid or one in your radiator, that stuff's got all this crap and clutch fibers and stuff like that. If that's the problem with your transmission, all that stuff's going to be just garbage in it. All your transmission lines are going to be full of that garbage, your torque converter. So you really got to go in there and do an extensive job cleaning your entire transmission, get that crap out of there in order to get good fresh fluid in there. We're not doing that this time here. All we're doing is a simple fluid and filter change here. Again, dropping a pan, getting the fluid out that we can, let it drip out everything we can, put in a new screen on this thing. I mainly want to check in here. Again, this one has got a screen, so it's not like it's going to be too bad, but we just want to check, make sure there's nothing in there. Again, technically, if there isn't, you could probably clean this out and stick the old one back in, but you're going to need a new gasket. This one here from Advanced Auto Parts was $10, all ready to go. So buy a new one. You get a great gasket, a new screen with a stainless steel element on there. It's good to go. Put this thing back together. Your transmission will be happy. Simple and easy. It's not a big task, and it's not a lot of money doing this thing either. You obviously got a couple of quarts of transmission fluid. Hopefully here, though, with a better gasket and a new pan, that's going to slow down the leaks on my transmission, because this thing just leaks everywhere. It'll probably leak everywhere anyway because that's just how they roll. It's just a 60-year-old transmission. But so with that, let's get after it. This isn't really too bad. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, one of the first things we got to do here is start to get the fluid out, and there's a couple ways to do it here. So I've got one of these oil evacuators here, and I'm going to suck as much transmission fluid out. They make a variety of these things. They got drill pumps, hand pumps. This one here is just a vacuum pump. So I'm going to try, I've got this down the dipstick hole here of the transmission, and I'm going to just suck as much fluid out of there as I can. You don't have to do this. It just hopefully makes less mess, is what the goal here is. And so it's still going to be messy, at least it is for me, but it's kind of nice if you can do it this way. It just helps save some of the mess down below, but you don't have to do this. So if you don't have something like this, don't worry. Once I get done sucking this out, we're going to go underneath, and I'll show you how to do it without this because it's the same process here. Basically, we're going to drop the pan next. But for now, let me get as much of this fluid sucked out, and then we'll get underneath this thing and start pulling the pan off. All right. Got done sucking the transmission fluid out as much as I can get. That's about 2 quarts of fluid out of there. So I thought I'd get a little bit more. Probably was low, and I doubt I got it all out of there either. But at least I got that much. That's that much less transmission fluid that's going to be all over me in the ground. So yeah, let's go ahead and get under this thing here, and we'll get after it. All right, so to get underneath our car here, you want to get it up here on some type of jacks here. I got it up on ramps. If you're going to use ramps, we're going to also put some jack stands underneath there. I got some jack stands underneath the back. I'll put some under the front for safety as well. Give us some room to get underneath there. Gonna need a drain pan. I'm gonna use a creeper or try to. I'll start out with that thing. A lot of rags. If you got one of these drain pans, this is, or these, a drain pan, but just a drip pan, that's gonna help. I'm gonna stick that down, and I'm gonna stick that on top of it just to try to contain any leaks. But that's it. There are a lot of rags. Again, make sure you're safe when you get underneath your car there. But yeah, let's get underneath this thing here, and we'll get after this thing here. And again, this is a spot here, whether or not you've drained your transmission fluid, sucked it out like I have or not, this is we're going to follow the same procedure from here on out, because I'm pretty sure I haven't gotten all the fluid out. So we're going to take the same steps, whether I've done that step or not. Hopefully there, by draining it out, it's just going to be less mess. But you can do this thing without being a mess. But you just got to take your time, be super prepared. The more prepared you are, the less mess you're going to make. But for me, it's always going to be a mess one way or the other. Even I get all the way done, the thing's going to gurgle and get me somehow. It's just how it is. It's my luck. But anyway, let's get underneath there, and we'll start finish up this process. All right, folks, so we're under here. I had to ditch the creeper. I just can't get under here and get on my side. You can see I got leaks everywhere. I'm not sure if my valve there is leaking. I did put, that's a new one in there. I'm pretty sure that's sealed. I don't know. I might have to pull that out later. But we're going to take a pan off here and put one on. This pan actually looks a lot newer than what I thought it was when I'm looking under here. But again, I'm going to replace mine anyways. I want a drain pan just to make it easier the next time. Now, whether or not that you've done this, you've sucked the oil out, or you not sucked the oil out on this thing, here's a procedure here that I'm going to do on stuff anytime it's delicate of stuff. So this pan right here is so flexible and stuff like that, and your new one that you're going to put on is flexible. It's aluminum. No matter what kind of pan you're putting on, this stuff's delicate. So you really want to be careful with this thing. So what we're going to start by doing is very gently here, these are 1/2 inch size on mine here, is we're going to crack these loose. We're not going to pull them off. We're going to just very gently crack them loose and just do a rotation pattern like you're torquing them. You don't have to be scientific about it, but just crack them loose here. If you take one of this one here all the way out, this one might come loose and it could start bending this corner a little bit, especially if you start taking them out like that. It might not do that, but why take the chance? Chances are it's probably stuck on here. But don't, especially, I do this a lot with, some motorcycles and stuff where this might be a very, very thin aluminum cover. You don't want to just leave everything torqued but one corner, because it could snap on you or warp. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I'm going to go around here, even though I'm not going to keep this pan, the pan I bought may not fit, and I may be putting this pan back on. But I'm going to go very gently in a kind of a crisscross pattern and just break these things loose a little bit. Again, and just kind of unsnug them. Secondly here, especially if your transmission's still full, what we're going to end up doing here is once we get them loose is we're going to start here with probably a corner. It's probably this corner here or that corner there, and we're going to loosen this one a little bit more and make sure we can break the seal, and then maybe loosen this one. And what we want to do is try to get this corner here to drop down. That's going to be tough, but what you're going to do is you start loosening this one, that one, then maybe this one and this one back here, this one a little bit more, and we're slowly going to surely drop this down to where the fluid drains here, right directly in your pan, goes right into your drain pan without spilling a drop. It all dries nice and easy, and you don't get any mess. That's the theory. Yet to have that work. Hopefully it works for you. But that's what we want to do, and we're going to do that even though I've drained it, because chances are there's still got quite a bit of fluid in it. Or it's going to have something. Then when I pull this thing off here, you're still going to have fluid here dripping off all your valve body and stuff like that. So we want to keep our drain pan down here as well. But that's the thing. So I'm going to go around here again, just very gently, just start cracking these things loose a little bit here. Again, I don't want to take them loose and have the fluid start dripping all the way around here. I just want to crack them a little bit loose, get where they're just starting to go even. Then I'm going to start doing this one here a little bit more, then this one, and then see here. Again, this may be stuck on here, so even if I take off all the bolts, this may not leak anything because it's stuck, and we'll have to kind of do a little bit of prying. But again, little by little, and we're going to slowly but surely get this corner here where it's down into where it starts draining the fluid there. We may have to just do this whole side right here and drain it there, but that's kind of the theory on this thing. Again, whether you've got the fluid out or not, that's what we want to do. Even if you've got a drain plug, the drain plug is going to make it really nice because you can drain it out and just let it drip overnight if you want to. Then you're pretty good with the thing here. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and then we'll get it hopefully here where it's a little bit looser, and we'll take a look at it again. Okay, so I've kind of got it around a little bit loose. You can see here it was stuck on here a little bit. You can see here if I just do a little bit prying here, you can see now where it's a little bit loose. So nothing's leaking. At this point in time, if you didn't drain your fluid's probably going to start draining out of here into your pan. Mine's not. So I'm a little bit loose here. Most of these bolts weren't even tight. Some of this could be the cold weather. I tell you, it's amazing on this stuff. It's so cold in the garage, and when you don't drive it, every goddamn thing leaks. Even radiator hoses that have not leaked a drop all year, they all of a sudden start leaking during the winter. So, just how it is. It's an old car, just the way it is. But I'm going to go through here and just keep loosening these things up a little bit more so I can drop this thing down to where I can hopefully get some more oil out of it. Because I've drained mine, I may not. I may end up just having to drop the pan. But that's really it. At this point in time, if you've got this loose, you're probably puking fluid out of there. And again, that's just perfect. You want it, and it's going to help because you're going to have weight in this pan that's going to be wanting to drop it. So at this point in time here, let it drain and just start slowly but surely working your way to where it's starting to drop more and more fluids coming out of there. And then eventually there, you're going to want to just hold it up and then get all those bolts out, and then let it plop here in your pan, and you're good to go. So that's the next. Where the heck is the pan? Right there. Well, I can't see it there. I'm working my hand. But anyway, the pan is down the ground. But that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go here, see if I can get any fluid on. If not, I'm just going to hold this up with my hand, pull off the rest of the bolts, drop this whole thing down right in my drain pan here, and that part will be done. Okay, got everything off. So far, no mess. It's still dripping. Now we're going to kind of go around and remove these little bolts and remove our screen. Everything so far in the transmission is looking really clean, which is good. I think someone might have rebuilt this thing at some point in time, although I think there's some crap in it somewhere as well. But someday we'll rebuild it, but that day isn't today. So right now, let's go ahead and remove this thing and or this little screen filter, and yeah, one step closer. Okay, well, here's my pan stuff. Really not so bad. It's really clean inside there. Really happy over that. Got my filter out there. The screen's really clean, but where the pickup tube is, I don't know where it's at on there, but there is some junk in there I can see caught on there. I could probably clean this thing out. Just gonna replace it anyway. I've already got another one in there. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna do that. You can see, you know, if I feel here, definitely some dimpling going on. And this is what, you know, sorry that where the problem is, like right here, major dimp, and you can see where this gasket stuck on here. This is where this thing definitely was leaking here. This like huge humps. It's just like this right here. If you felt like that, that's why these things are leaking on this thing here. So, gonna get everything cleaned up, letting that underneath there drip and leak all we can, and I'm gonna get under there, spray it down with some brake cleaner, get it perfectly dry, get it clean. I'm gonna go get our filter put back on here. I'll show you that. Get everything clean, and we'll go ahead and get the new pan on and get that sealing up. Alright folks, I've let this drip all I can. I'm going to sit here and spray this whole thing off here with some brake clean, especially up in these holes. I'm going to probably use a little bit of Loctite. That's what I like to do. You kind of follow your steps there, but I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up there, just spray this down, and then we'll go ahead and install our little screen there. Okay. So I can get out of our light here. Alright, so I got a filter up here. I just got everything in there, all the screws in there hand tight. An old school tip, when you're working on a lot, especially aluminum, whenever possible, grab a tiny little 1/4 inch ratchet here, and you tighten stuff up here. You just want to grab this thing, like this thing here. That's all these things need. You could probably go in, find all the torque specs and that stuff. That's what I'd recommend. If you've not done this, get the torque specs. It's going to be inch-pounds on this type of stuff. It's very, very small. You're going to want to tighten these kind of in a crisscross. It's always the best. Go slow with this stuff. I just use this. I'm just going to tighten it by hand. I know the correct torque with my hand. Don't zip this stuff on. I know everybody likes to use all these electric ratchets and stuff like that, and that stuff's fine. I just haven't got to it because I hate dealing with the dead batteries and stuff and all the crap that goes with it there. I'm a hand tool guy. I've just always been, but there's also reasons. Because I use hand tools, I know how tight stuff goes, and I can tighten this stuff and not over tighten it, and I know when there's something wrong with it as well. When I take it apart, I can tell, is there something wrong with it, or is it in good shape? That's another reason why I always use hand tools, because I can tell that when I take it apart if there's a problem before I get started with the darn thing. But anyway, if you're going to do this, don't get on this thing with a 3/8 drive. Get a small little ratchet like this. If you're not familiar with this stuff, read your manual, find the torque specs on this thing, torque it down. It's probably going to be in inch-pounds. I don't know what these little tiny things would be off the top of my head. Probably 50, 60 inch-pounds or something like that. Possibly. I'm not sure. Look that up. But anyway, I'm going to torque these things up here with my little ratchet. And then we're going to go one more time here around and clean this pan. You can see here I've already getting some residual back on there. I've already wiped this off, sprayed it off, but it continues to leak, coming out of the transmission itself. So I'm going to give it one last wipe, and we're going to get ready here to stick this pan on, and hopefully it seals up good. So let me go ahead and finish this thing up here, and we will be good to go. Alright folks, if you're getting ready to use your old pan, you got to make sure that it's 100% flat, not dimpled. They're almost always going to be dimpled. It's not too big of a deal. You can stick this on the edge of your vise here, on a flat spot and just gently tap these down to where they're perfectly flat. But they got to be flat. So one spot here, you can see the gasket still stuck on it, but it's a big lump right here. But there's lumps here. You know, you really can't see the darn thing, but I'll sit here and put this on here, which is not the most straight edge on there, but you know, you can see gaps quite well. Let's see here. That's not too super bad there, but look at it going this way here. Let me get this lined up here. It's just, yeah, it's difficult to see, but there's some big old gaps on this thing. You put that thing back on there, it's just going to leak really bad. So tap these out. And again, if it's old, you know, you might want, you can buy a pan, just a stamped steel pan like this without a drain plug. They're probably 20 bucks, $25 or something like that. They're not that much. That might be a better route than trying to undo this if it's not too bad, or if it is bad, because once these things are deformed and you hammer them back out, it just makes them weak. And so when you go to snug them back up, the chances are they're going to do it again there. So give that some thought. But this is how they are. You know, this is probably, I'm not sure if this is the original pan or not on this thing, but they're just like that. It's like valve covers or anything else. You take them off. This is the way they are. You can tap them down, but eventually they get old. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't know how old it was. I put a new one on, and I wanted a drain one on there as well. And that B&M one I got is way better quality than this one, so I'm glad I bought that. But anyway, make sure the surface is perfectly flat before you stick it back on. Okay, so I've got the little screen on now. I've dried off my pan surface there as best I can. Again, if you're using your stock pan here, you're going to want to go and make sure you flatten the surface out. I showed you my old one there. It was dimpled really bad. You got to go through there and flatten all that out before you put this on if you're going to use your old one. If it's bad, again, you can get just a replacement pan without the drain plug in there for dirt cheap. I'd really recommend doing that. Save yourself a lot of hassles down the road there, because sometimes getting those dimples out there, they'll go right back in there pretty easy because it just deforms the metal. So keep that in mind. You have to have all your surface here be perfectly flat, otherwise you got no chance. So with that said, there's all sorts of ways of doing this. I'm going to tell you a couple of my theories. You've probably got your own theories. They all work and they all don't work. These things are going to leak. That's what they do. That's just about rule number one. You could get some RTV on both sides of your gasket. That'll lock this thing in here. That'll probably keep the pan from leaking. It's probably still going to leak out of every other surface, but the pan probably won't. But the next time you go to do this, it's going to be a disaster getting that off and cleaning it off. So that's something to think about. With mine, I've got that rubber gasket, so I think that's going to help me. So I'm going to use that instead of the cork one. There's nothing wrong with the cork ones, but what I like to do, whether I'm going to use this rubber one here or I'm going to use that cork one, is I want to put this on completely dry. I want the pan dry and the surface here dry. And the reason why I like to do that is if it's dry on both sides there, the gasket sticks and it grips it. And so it has a less tendency to sit there, like when you tighten down, to move around on you. When it moves around, that's when it likes to deform. That's when it likes to dimple, especially cork. That's like when it likes to, you know, potentially pinch on you there. If it's gripped tight on the surface here, if it can't go anywhere, it's gripping tight here, gripping tight on your pan, then it just sits there like a gasket and compresses like it should, and it provides a better seal. Pros and cons on that, that's how I do it there. Is it foolproof? No way. It's stuff, I think sometimes getting it to seal is an artwork. But this transmission's 60 years old. It leaks everywhere. If you look on the bottom of my car, but I live in Illinois, and that is automatic rust proof. So I don't mind it whatsoever there, and transmission fluid's pretty cheap. But I don't want to just run it out of there and dripping all over the floor needlessly either. So this is going to cure that. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got the pan on there. One tip for you, and I didn't do it, is it's best to sit there, lay your pan, your gasket on your pan here, and lay it face down on your bench for a day or two, especially if it's cold like it is here, so it's not deformed. You can see down there it's not sitting down here. You want it to lay flat. It'll just make it easier. I didn't do that. I forgot all about the darn thing there, but lay that down. If you have the opportunity, just lay it flat there overnight or something if you get a chance, or the next time. Then when you go to put it on, it'll sit nice and flat for you. But this rubber one here I got from Advanced Auto Parts is nice. As you can see, these holes are smaller than the nuts that come with it, or the bolts there. So you actually have to twist them to get them in here. So it's holding, you can see it's holding the bolts in, so that's making it nice. So when I lift it up on there, it'll be pretty good. Really nice gasket. I'm happy with that one there. That's a $10 purchase there at my local store. And it's nice getting this stuff from your local store. To be able to run down and get a 1966 transmission filter and pan gasket at my local store is fantastic. And if we don't run down there and do that kind of stuff pretty soon, they're not going to stock that stuff anymore. And it's just going to be a disaster for us. I hate having to order everything online. I try to get as much locally as I can. So shop local where you can there. It's a great thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this pan up here. And I'm just going to go in, put them in there, and I'm going to get all the bolts started. And then I'm going to run them in by hand, just using my hand only. And then we'll take another look at it. Alright, so I've got the kind of bolts all in there, kind of in hand tight there. Now I'm going to go there and just kind of do a crisscross pattern again. Very gently just sneak up on them with my 1/4" ratchet. You just want to tighten them up and just try to get this thing as even as you can. You don't want to dimple your pan. If you tighten them things too tight, you're just going to dimple it and it's going to break the gasket right here and you're going to leak again. So you just want to even pressure where this thing just sucks up tight and stays there. So let's do that. This job here is almost done. Alright folks, so we're at the end here. I'm going to put I siphoned 2 quarts out of there. Probably at least another ½ quart come out, probably closer to 3. Plus it's been leaking there. I probably need 3 quarts in here, but I want to sneak up on it. So it's still salt on the road where I'm at, and so I'm going to pour, just so I don't forget there, about 2½ quarts in mine, and that's going to be it, and I'm going to leave it here. To check the oil properly on these C4 transmissions, the transmission itself needs to be warmed up, not the engine. Sorry about the light. Not the engine needs to get warmed up, the transmission's got to warm up, which means you got to drive it. Again, salt on the road, so I'm not going to be able to do that for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and put about 2½ quarts in there, call that good. And then, another month or two, probably about the time this video comes out, I'll get it out on the road, get it warmed up, double check it, and it will be good to go. So that's really it. Check this thing here. What you're going to want to do here always, some transmissions there warm up faster than others. Some of them don't change that much where they have to be hot. This one has to be checked when hot. But you want to get it going there. Anytime you do this, you want to cycle it through the gears and stuff like that to let the fluid circle around. Let it idle for a while, shift it in all the gears. That's why I like checking on this one here. I'll drive it around for a while to make sure it's going to go. So you don't want to just start it up, let it idle, and check it. Cycle it through all the gears and make sure it's going to work and everything. Then check the fluid and stuff like that. So I can't do that right now, so I'm going to stick my 2½ quarts in there. Call that good so I don't forget it. And then I'll warm it up when the salt gets off the road there. I'll get it out on the road, get it good and warmed up, check the fluid, top it off, and be good to go. One last tip here is I'm going to get this thing out on the road one time, get the transmission good warmed up, and then I'm going to get under there and recheck those pan bolts just to make sure they haven't come loose and stuff like that. It's probably 15 degrees out right now, and sometimes that stuff has a chance of changing there when it warms up, so I just want to check it one more time. So it's always a good chance, especially working with aluminum. I find it's a good chance to go back and double check stuff. If you've done a good job and actually used a torque wrench, go back and use your torque wrench again. You'll probably find out they may have changed on you a little bit there. That way everything's perfect. You'll know it's ready to go and you're set for the season. But that's really it. Not a lot to a basic transmission service on these things here. Just dropping it off. Again, I didn't want to say anything until this point. Now, probably I'll freaking miss this funnel, or the funnel will fall out or something like that. But I have failed to make a mess. This has got to be the first time. So that oil sucker router thing was a nice thing. It worked out really good. It prevented me from leaking all over the place. Generally, it still leaks all over the place down there, but between the drip pan and the oil pan, I was able to get everything in it. I did not get a mess. That's kind of a first. So get yourself prepared would be my advice. Prepare for the worst, hope it doesn't happen, then you'll luck out there. But that's really it on this thing. Just take your time. It's a simple, easy, do-it-yourself type of job. You save a ton of money doing this type of stuff. Again, the filter, if you're just changing the filter and stuff like that, filter and pan gasket was like $10 on this thing. It's just ridiculous on this thing. So now I got a couple quarts of Type F transmission fluid I'm putting in this thing there. That's probably another $10. I don't know how much that stuff is off the top of my head. I got some of this stuff here I had in stock for a while. I bought on sale there. But anyway, that's it. Pretty simple job. So with that, I'll be good to go for the new season. Hopefully this will slow down some of those leaks. That cork gasket was definitely in bad shape on mine. Someone had torqued it down and split the gasket on it a little bit there. A lot of dimpling. I think the B&M one there with the drain plug is going to make a big difference there. It's a little bit thicker, I noticed, than the one that was on there. That rubber gasket I got from Advanced Auto Part, that CarQuest kit there, I think it's a lot better than the cork gasket, so I'm pretty happy with that as well. So should be good to go. So that's it. Yeah, one more service job here on the old 66, so I should be good to go. Take care.